What's going on, everyone? I am Double D, and welcome to the Double D Podcast once again. I'm your host, Daniel DeForest, under the name Double D. Welcome to the YouTube channel. If this is your first time joining in, I know this is going to be a special episode, but first, it's time for the post-race news. The NASCAR Cup Series would be racing last week at Dover, and it was affected by rain because practice and qualifying was canceled. Therefore, Chase Elliott was awarded the pole. So therefore, he started in first, and then he had Chase Briscoe starting with him in second, and they started the race. Chase Briscoe took the lead right away as Chase Elliott struggled on the restart, but Chase Elliott would get the lead back 14 laps later, and he would take the lead away. During the battle with Chase Briscoe and Chase Elliott, the Chase and Chase show, Shane Van Gisbergen around, I think, the first few laps, he was running 8th. He looked like he might have had a good run here at Dover. He was holding a good spot there, but instead he had something go on with his right rear, I believe, something going on with his tires, and he had to pit, and he went 6 laps down. So because of that, that ruined his day. However, that wouldn't bring the caution out. However, on lap 35, the competition caution will come out due to it raining before the race Sunday. And that led for cars having pit stops. Chase Elliott would maintain the lead, and he would go on to win Stage 1. Coming to the end of Stage 1, A.J. Allmendinger would have problem with his tires, and so would John Nemechek. You could tell that some drivers were having problems with the tires here at Dover. Dover, concrete track that really wears out your tires. So them two, they've lost. I think Allmendinger lost multiple laps. It didn't affect John Nemechek that much. He was able to still stay, I think, 1 lap down or on the lead lap. But a major problem that really aggravated me throughout the race was the lap traffic. Whenever the leader would get behind a car to try to pass him, he couldn't pass him at all because he'd get in the dirty air, and that would allow other drivers right behind him to get closer to try to battle him for the lead. Happened to Chase Elliott with Daniel Suarez. It happened with Denny Hamlin with Ty Dillon. And it's just this aero package in general. It's really difficult to pass cars when you get into right behind them into the dirty air. You cannot make any moves. And it's only at these short tracks, at these super speedways. Not even just the lap cars. But drivers trying to make passes couldn't even make passes that well because of the dirty air. They'd get behind another car. Which, that's a major problem for racing at these short tracks. And also, even cars with newer tires that were way younger than the older tires that, for example, Denny Hamlin and other drivers had, they could not pass if their life depended on it. So, we're going to talk about that later on, but it was just an annoying thing about this race, and I think it affected the quality of the race Sunday. There were not really any problems with the Stage 1 pit stops, so then the Stage 2 restart would be underway, and Chase Elliott would lead most of Stage 2. He would stay out in front until they would get the green flag pit stops. Chase Elliott pit crew would mess up with the jack under the car, and Chase Elliott lost a few positions on track. Better that it happened under green and under caution because he would have lost a lot of spots. But just aggravating with all these races Chase Elliott has had this year. He ended up number 1 in the points after this race, but yet his gap could be a lot bigger if his pit crew and his crew chief, which we'll talk about later on, would not keep making these silly mistakes. He would lose a few spots, and Christopher Bell would be battling with Denny Hamlin. Bell would eventually pass Denny Hamlin to win Stage 2. However, for yellow flag pit stops at the end of Stage 2, Chase Elliott would gain some spots back, and he would restart second right next to Christopher Bell. Before the end of Stage 2, he would make a couple of passes on track, which it was really impressive by Chase Elliott. He seemed like one of the only cars that could make a pass at Dover. It was just that difficult to pass today. Or it was that difficult to pass Sunday. But Chase Elliott restarting second, and he would start right next to Bell. Bell would be on the outside, Elliott on the inside. They would get underway. But Christopher Bell would get loose and go for a spin on Chase Elliott's outside. Somehow nobody hit him, and somehow he kept the car from hitting the wall, and he was able to continue. Bell spinning would be the first caution of the day for incident. There wasn't really much cautions for incident. It was pretty much a clean race until we got to the end of the race. But Chase Elliott, being there at the right time, would take the lead. He would lead some of Stage 3, but then rain would become a factor. Now, rain wasn't there yet, but we would hear like radio communications with the other drivers that rain was in the area. So that made the race really suspenseful. You didn't know that if the rain was going to be race ending or it was just going to be there for a few minutes and they would go back racing. However, they would take it as if they were running till the end. But there was a couple of drivers that did gamble, meaning Christopher Bell, who had an incident earlier, and Austin Dillon, who has nothing to lose, would try to gamble to try to stay out to gain track position to win the race, if that caution came out. And which it did. And unfortunate for Chase Elliott, because he needed the race to keep going green, or at least that pit cycle to go, so he could have the lead, and that didn't happen for him. So therefore, the caution came out, and it didn't even look like... Honestly, I was kind of aggravated about that one caution for Christopher Bell. It didn't look like there was much rain sprinkles that could really affect the racing on the track. But they threw it for precaution, and Chase Elliott was the unfortunate victim of that caution. And to make life more frustrating for Chase Elliott, when drivers pitted because they assumed that they would go back racing again, Christopher Bell took 4 tires. Denny Hamlin took an interesting strategy and stayed out because he wanted clean air. Chase Elliott's crew chief, Alan Gustafson, decided to pit for 2 tires instead of 4 tires, with not much drivers on the lead lap. Now, the reason why this is an issue, Dover, your tires wear an awful lot. And you got to take your chances with 4 tires when you're not going to lose that much positions. And they decided to take 2 tires. If you're going down pit road, you might as well take 4 tires. And this would make Chase Elliott's car not run as good, and he would eventually not be able to win the race because he wouldn't be able to make up any ground. And honestly, we need to call for Alan Gustafson, for Chase Elliott's crew chief, to be fired. Because this is like the 3rd time this year that he has caused Chase Elliott from winning a race for making a bad strategy call. I mean, I got 2020 Coca-Cola 600 PTSD because of this race. And it was just infuriating to watch. And I don't know. I mean, he needs a crew chief for somebody else, but it's time for Chase Elliott to have a better crew chief, someone that has a better perspective of how they can win races and who can propel Chase Elliott's chances of winning a race. Instead of Chase Elliott trying to get back to the field himself. But of course, they would go back racing. And Denny Hamlin and Christopher Bell would battle. It looked like Chase Elliott was going to catch back up, but they needed it to go green, or them two to have a wreck. But instead, the caution came out for Ross Chastain hitting the wall. And that eventually, rain showers would come in, and they would cause like almost an hour of a red flag, I believe, or around an hour. But at least they were able to dry the racetrack, and we were able to finish the race under green. But Chase Briscoe would gamble, and he would pit for 4 tires. And it ended up working to his benefit, because he would pass in cars and make it up to 2nd place. But then cautions would come out that would involve Noah Gragson, William Byron. And then another caution would come out, and it would have a Zane Smith crash into the wall. So there was 2 overtime restarts because of all this. And before that, before those 2 overtime restarts, Christopher Bell would spin trying to battle Denny Hamlin. He would just get loose under him, and he would spin. And in that same wreck that happened with Gragson and Byron, that would involve Christopher Bell, and that would take Christopher Bell out of contention for the win. But then eventually, everybody would stop crashing, and we would get the end of the race. And as I mentioned earlier, dirty air worked to Denny Hamlin's benefit. Chase Briscoe, with fresher tires, could not get a good enough run to pass Denny Hamlin. And Denny Hamlin eventually went on to take a checker flag to get his 4th win of the season and beat everyone else's favorite driver. I just hated this race so much. It was what could have been for Chase Elliott. I just hated this race. You're lucky you didn't get my take on Sunday, because I was not happy. And now we take a look at the top 10. As you can see, Denny Hamlin won the race. Of course, Chase Briscoe got 2nd. Alex Bowman with another top 10 in 3rd. He's been looking good these past few weeks. Kyle Larson finally gets into the top 10 after having a bad streak of races. He looks like he had a good car today to maybe challenge for the win, but he just could not get up to Denny Hamlin or the others. And in 5th place, Ty Gibbs. He advances in the in-season challenge. He will face off against Ty Dillon, who beat out Jonathan Nemechek. Ty Gibbs had to beat out Tyler Reddick, but it's going to be a battle of the ties for $1 million at Indianapolis next week. Chase Elliott led the most laps, 238 laps, but could not lock in to win. What could have been if his crew chief made the right call. Bubba Wallace in 7th, Ryan Blaney in 8th, Chris Buescher in 9th, Brad Keselowski in 10th. Brad Keselowski's doing good getting top 10s, but he needs a win because he's too far back in points. Kyle Busch, I want to mention him, although he didn't get a top 10. He did finish 11th. That's good for him trying to battle to get into the playoffs around the bubble. So now we take a look at the point standing, because Chase Elliott, as I mentioned, he is the point leader now. But that gap could be a lot bigger if he could have won more races that got away from him. But I'm happy Chase Elliott, as a Chase Elliott fan, I'm happy that he is in the lead. As you can see, too, around like the Battle of the Bubble, Ryan Preece did not have a good race. I think he finished multiple laps down, and that hurt his battle around there, and I think Bubba Wallace had a better race than him. So that's an interesting battle there. So that's all for the post-race review. Now it's time for what y'all been waiting for, the interview. Now this interview is going to be probably one of my most important interviews. I am interviewing Thomas Westbrook, high school friend of mine, former cross-country runner, but he's doing something really extraordinary, and we're going to talk about in the interview. So here it is. All right, welcome to the Double D podcast, Thomas Westbrook. Introduce yourself to the audience. I bet they'll be happy to listen to you.
Hey everyone, my name is Thomas Westbrook. Known Danny since, I think sophomore year of high school, and he's been such a great friend that I've known, and I'm excited to be here.
Nice. Okay, so knowing that you used to run cross country with me, I know it was really challenging. But for you, it looked like a cakewalk. But of course, for beginners, it's not a cakewalk at all. So when you were a kid, how did you get into cross country, and what motivated you to get into cross country? And when did you get into it?
So as a kid, it was definitely a little bit different than most people. I knew when I was very young, probably like 7th to freshman year, I didn't want to ride the bus, so I ran to school every day. And my grandma eventually forced me into cross country because she's like, I have too much energy at home. You might as well waste it doing a sport than causing chaos around the house. So that's pretty much what led it into it. And motivation wise, there was no motivation besides getting home and eating. So I ran fast.
Hey, that's actually a pretty cool story of how you started out cross country. Very few people, well, how I got into it, I just wanted to start out the sport for myself. I wasn't really an athletic type of guy until I wanted to try something new, which was cross country. Although I wasn't the best runner, I wanted to try something. But it's pretty cool how you started with that.
No, I mean, honestly, you're phenomenal. I think a lot of people on our team kind of thought of you as like at least for me, I was like, man, this guy is killing it. How you always brought 100% no matter what. That was pure. You were giving me motivation when I was watching you, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, for today, I'm out of that stage, but I still run probably like a mile like twice a week because I don't want it to be crazy on my knees, which is something that's probably we're going to have to talk about how you prep for this challenge you're doing, which we'll talk about later on. What was your biggest challenge in cross country? You had to you've ran from school to stuff. You talked about that story. What was your biggest challenge? Because I know it wasn't easy starting off.
So I think the biggest challenge was I'm a person that's prone to a lot of injuries. I'm very just prone to getting injured a lot. I know during my junior year of cross country and also my senior year, I tore my hamstring. I know junior year, I ran through a torn hamstring. I didn't really care about it. And I didn't even know it was torn until I went to physical therapy.
Wow.
And then up until senior year, were you there during senior year? I can't remember.
Yeah, I was there during your senior year. I was a junior then.
Yeah, I was running on a torn Achilles and also a hamstring, and then I had a calf problem. So it was just the biggest struggles that I went through was just hurting myself pretty much. I was overtraining. I was barely getting any sleep. I was also powerlifting for like state records on top of that, trying to do that. So just overtraining really was the downfall and the hardest thing to eventually try to get rid of.
Yeah, overtraining, not much rest, that can really hurt you and stuff. But I just find that insane because even when I was running with you, you were still like upper mid pack, even with those injuries.
Yeah, it was. I was a part of me kind of regrets not taking, trying to heal my body up because I knew if I eventually would have, I would have been a lot better. But at the same time, it's always good just to know that you can mentally push through that pain. And I find that even more better.
Yeah. With my experience with running, and of course you as a cross-country runner, one biggest thing I've learned about running, it's not really the physical part, it's the mental part. The mental part of pushing yourself to try to finish the challenge you're doing or the goal you're trying to meet.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So, hearing that you're a big cross-country runner and all this stuff, I have to ask, did you try any other sports? I mean, of course, I think you've tried track too, but you're an athletic guy. You had to do other stuff.
So I did, I believe, I don't know how long I was wrestling. I did wrestling for a while when I was a little kid, a little short Tommy. I also train jiu-jitsu. I do a little bit of kind of MMA, mostly Muay Thai. I love doing that stuff. Pretty much anything that's combative, I love doing it, but I kind of stopped doing that as of now because, like I said, I'm injury prone and I'm really trying not to get injured for the challenges and world record attempts that I try to do.
Yeah, my older brother and sister used to do karate, and my younger nephew is actually a wrestler himself right now. I think he's coming around like either 8th grade or 9th grade, and he's won multiple state championships in Missouri. So,
oh my gosh, yeah. Missouri is one of those hard states. That's impressive. That's incredible.
Yeah, honestly. He's up and coming too, and he's looking really good. I can't wait to see what it's going to look like for him in the future.
No, that's exciting. Well, I'm definitely going to have to watch him too.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to send you clips, and of course, whenever he wrestles around my area, I'll have to go watch that. But, had to mention that. Okay, so, the most important part of this podcast, of course, the reason why you're on here, and the reason why you're doing this for all the children out there for St. Jude, the 100-mile challenge you'll be racing coming up. Okay, number one, you're crazy for doing this, and a lot of people are probably going to think the same thing, but it's passionate, it's motivating, and I'm glad you're doing this. And of course, originally you were supposed to do like the pull-up challenge, but someone broke the record for that right as you were training for that. But hey, there's always obstacles in life, and you just got to hop over them, and of course you're going to be training for that longer in conversations that we previously had. So that's going to lead me to the question about this 100-mile challenge that you're doing. What motivated you to do all this? What gave you this idea?
So it was something that I wanted to do for a long time. I was actually previously training for one, I think a year and a half ago, but I did tear my Achilles right off the hill almost. So I had to take like almost, I think, a year of rest. And right after I got the news that someone broke the 12-hour pull-up world record by almost 2,000 of what I was doing, and then also someone just recently broke the 24-hour pull-up world record by almost 3,000.
Wow.
From what I was doing.
It's like a competition.
I know. It's like all came in a circle. So I was like, oh, dang. I thought I got to train for like 2 years to honestly break it. But that's okay. But yeah, I was really thinking it would be a really easy route to just decide, man, maybe I won't do anything. But then I kind of had this vision where, you know how I was like as a little kid, this hopeless kid, and anytime a challenge would come towards me, I would back away from it. So I wanted to kind of change how I respond in situations that come up, and I have no idea how to respond to it. So I'm like, screw it. I'm gonna give everything I have, 100-mile race, 49 days of training. I'm gonna see if I can really test my resolve during that situation. So it's exciting, mostly because I don't want to be that same person that I've always been.
Word. And I see that in your mentality of your like training and how you race whenever you're racing in a cross country race and whatever you do, which is really inspiring. that you have that type of mentality. And that's hopefully what most people should have if they want to accomplish whatever they want to do. Okay, so next question I got to ask you about this, because I know this is easier said than done. Exactly what training are you doing for this besides running and stuff? I know you're having to do other exercises. The diet's probably different than other people. You're probably having to do different routines, different with your sleep, different with all this other stuff. And of course, having to balance your personal life and stuff like that. How are you doing all this is my question. Like, what's the training to all this?
So honestly, work/life balance is kind of getting to me. I haven't been doing the best. I don't know if you knew this, but I recently started my own business, and that has taken a lot of time out of my days to figure out booking, client work, and all this other stuff. And I probably get like if I'm lucky, on some occasions, 5 to 3 hours of sleep a night. And then on top of that, I'll go out and train. Sometimes, I fall off because of working so long. I know I worked like 14-hour shifts for 4 days in a row. So sometimes I just count that as my training. And then on other days like tomorrow, I'm going to be training for 6 hours, doing 2 hours of Stairmasters, 2 hours of rowing, and then possibly 2 hours of swimming. So it's really just intense. I know I'm not going to be able to physically be prepared for the 100-mile race, but I know I can mentally prepare myself by putting myself through absolute hell. So that's all that I'm thinking about, is just how can I make myself as mentally hurt as I can, and just find a way to push through that. And come July 26th is if I'm going to be ready. It's going to be exciting to see.
Yeah, that's crazy that you're taking that on. As we mentioned earlier in our conversation, it's just mental game. You just got to have the right mindset on whatever you're challenging to do for cross country. And I have to mention this. It's kind of like in wrestling. Like, you don't want to tap out. Do not tap out. Do not go to sleep. You gotta keep fighting.
Exactly. And I know that I'm going to end up sadly with broken bones. Like that's a for sure. I know that me and my team are going to also be looking out for rhabdo. I don't know if you know what that is. It's like a pretty much kidney failure. A pretty high amount of people that run these ultra marathons end up in kidney failure. So there's a lot of chances that I'm gonna be ended up going into the ER, and that's also something that's exciting. Imagine being able to be in a position to where you can put yourself through this kind of suffering and this kind of pain, while others, they have no choice. They have to wake up in that pain. So I take this as a great opportunity to just be like thankful that I can do this.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that, you could be doing anything else for St. Jude, but you're doing this challenge, which is really inspiring. Knowing that there's a good chance that you'll be hurt and stuff, but you're still going to do it, which is crazy. Insane. And how much you work out as well. I only work out like an hour and a half, like twice a week, which I do to recommended like exercise time. But having to work out for that much, and you're on not much sleep, and having to balance a work week, like you said, that's like double hockey sticks, pretty much. But hey, you got to keep working to accomplish what you want to accomplish, and that's exactly the inspiring thing about this. Okay, so we're talking about cross country, we're talking about racing. This kind of intertwines with each other because cross country. I'm a motorsports fan, different part of racing. But both one thing. We like to finish first. We like to race each other. Which leads me to ask you. I got to ask you. Did you have any experience with motorsports in your life?
I do. The only thing I do is I go up on side-by-side trails and also like dirt bike trails and all that. That's about it. Anything else? No. Nice.
Dirt bike. I used to watch some of that when I was a kid, but I'm not as much in it like I used to. There's just so much stuff to watch. There's a lot of things I'd like to watch, but you just don't really have much time for, unfortunately.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're talking about that. Okay, so the last question of this interview, and I usually ask like a traditional question for like usually motorsports fans on here, but you're a different type person, taking a different type of challenge, and it's very passionate. What is your favorite place you have ever ran at?
Man, honestly, I would say so. Recently did a marathon. The first marathon I did with only 10 days of training. It wasn't a good place, but once you get into this kind of mindset where you know you're not going to stop and your mind goes blank, that's what I think is the best place, where you can feel all the pain, but you will not stop running. It doesn't matter where it is, but it's like when it happens. That's probably what I think is the best.
Wow, it's like it's more like a win thing, not really a destination.
Yeah, anywhere. I love to run anywhere. I'm grateful for being able to just step outside, So everywhere is a blessing. But when it happens, when you get in that mindset where you just do not want to, like your body feels like it's crumbling, your feet feel like they're breaking, and then you just push through it. That's the best.
Yeah, that's really inspiring about that. Like, it doesn't matter where you're at, it just matters what you're doing, and you're grateful for that, that's pretty cool as well. I mean, that's the funny thing about me. Like, I'm a sightseer whenever I'm running. I like looking at stuff.
No, I'm the complete opposite. I zone in on my feet, like the kind of like the cadence or the tempo, and I just go blank, and I'm just like, my mind's blank, everything's blank besides the pain that I'm feeling. I'm like, oh, this is great. I can feel it.
It's funny how we blank out in different ways, because you blank out in that way. I just think of other things when I'm running to distract myself from what I'm actually doing.
That's probably the better way.
Yeah. Like a funny thing when I'm running, I would think about like stuff I have to do later or stuff that's going to happen in the future. I'm thinking about that. I'm not even thinking about me running while I'm doing it.
Oh my gosh, I wish. It'd probably be a lot easier. It makes it go by faster, but I just can't.
Yeah. All right. So this is the end of the interview, but of course I'm going to leave the description, link in bio about your fundraiser. Do you want to give any more details about your fundraiser that you're doing and what time you're doing it and how people will support it?
Yeah. So just like he said, is going to be a link in the bio. It's for St. Jude's Children's Hospital for cancer research and cancer treatment. So this helps anyone from even from 0 to young adults. We are trying our best to help bring money into that and help support those individuals who are battling through cancer and who don't have the opportunity that we do. And also, I know we're going to be doing another charity event, and this one's going to be for a 240-mile race next year.
Nice.
For suicide awareness. This is going to be the charity event that we're going to be, my organization is going to be doing for the rest of its life, and hopefully have a nonprofit organization completely set up by them. So if you want to follow, I believe you'll also probably put my Instagram, both my Instagrams up there.
I'll put that down.
If you want to follow it, feel free to. We're going to be posting a lot of things for the new charity events, new challenges coming in the future, and we're really excited to be able to get those going.
That's cool. You kind of remind me of a YouTuber I watch constantly. He's a Green Bay Packer fan, Tom Grossi. A couple of years ago, he did the 30 and 30 challenge, where he went to 30 stadiums in 30 days, and he gathered up so much money for St. Jude. I mean, he does charities every week and every month. He literally tries to donate. He calls it chaotic good, and that's what I see. What you're doing is chaotic good.
Oh, I would love to. I just got to get a little bit better of a following so we can make a real impact. But at the end of the day, $1 is great. Yeah. But that's awesome. I got to look into that guy.
Yeah. Don't want to overshadow about what you're doing, because what you're doing is really extraordinary. But something I'd like to announce too. Speaking of fundraisers, whenever I announce my league that's coming up in the off season of NASCAR, I will be doing a fundraiser myself. It will be a charity race where we're racing for charity. The charity's still going to be determined by my league drivers and stuff. We're going to be discussing that. But it's going to last over a month, and we're going to be donating to whoever that charity is going to be. And we're also going to have local sponsors as well be on the cars digitally. So that's something I'd like to announce on here. So we're trying to do the best work we can for everybody in the community. And honestly, it's not really that much for what I'm doing compared to what he's doing, but it is extraordinary. So it's great what you're doing, and I'm proud of you, my friend.
Thank you so much. And any charity is great charity. It doesn't matter. So none's above others.
Yeah.
But that's awesome.
Of course, I hope you survive this challenge and you're able to come back to another podcast again. But good luck.
Hopefully.
I'll be there to support you, and I'll try to get as much people as I can to donate to your fundraiser. And good luck, my friend.
Thank you.
All right. Man, what a passionate and inspiring interview from Thomas Westbrook. Of course, the link is in the description if you want to donate to St. Jude. Definitely help them out. It's for a good cause. I'm donating as well. So, the goal is $10,000. I mean, maybe a big goal, but we get closer if y'all can go donate. So, do that. And now we're going to do my pre-race prediction, as it's going to be the Brickyard 400 this weekend. The Cup Series is racing at Indianapolis. Also, the last race for the in-season challenge, which I think Ty Dillon's going to win the in-season challenge. It's crazy that the 32nd seed is beating out all these other drivers who are better seeded to win this challenge to get $1 million. But I think he'll win it. And who I think is going to win the race entirely? Alex Bowman. He's got the momentum right behind him. He's been finishing consistently these past few races. I'm going to go with him to win at Indianapolis. It's mainly because he haven't really been there as much. So, there's drivers still learning that track. So, I definitely have Alex Bowman winning that. And that is all for this podcast. Thank you all for joining. Of course, go donate to St. Jude. And I will see you guys for the watch party for the Brickyard 400 this Sunday. And, of course, the podcast next week. See everybody later.